My girlfriend said, "Be glad it only happened once." I replied, "This breakup will only happen once." Reddit stories, my girlfriend said, "Be glad it only happened once." I replied, "This breakup will only happen once." Then I packed all her bags, changed the locks, and sent a polite email to her internship coordinator about her distractions. And I just smiled, because she said she was planning to leave me at the end of her internship, but I decided to help her start her new life a little sooner. Original post: my girlfriend Maya and I have been together for 5 years. We met in college. I'm 24 now, finishing up my master's degree, and she's 23, in her final year of undergrad. For 5 years I was all in. I saw our entire future laid out ahead of us: marriage, a house, kids. It all felt so certain. I loved her in a way I didn't know was possible. I took care of her, made her meals when she was stressed with classes, and supported her in everything she did. Our relationship felt pure, something I was carefully protecting. Hey viewers, we are aiming for 1,000 subscribers. Your support brings us closer. Subscribe and be part of the journey. This past summer, she got a prestigious internship at a big marketing firm downtown. I was so proud of her. I knew it was a huge opportunity. At first, everything was normal. But after a few weeks, things started to shift. She was working late almost every night. When she came home, she was distant. Her face constantly illuminated by the screen of her phone. She'd angle it away from me when I walked into the room. I told myself it was just the stress of the internship. I tried to be supportive, giving her space and not adding to her pressure. But a cold knot of anxiety began to form in my stomach. The easy intimacy we had shared for years was being replaced by a strange, formal distance. The discovery was small and accidental. She was in the shower, and her laptop was open on our kitchen table. She was supposed to be working on a presentation. A notification from her work's messaging app popped up on the screen. It was from a guy named Alex, a colleague she'd mentioned a few times. The message preview was only a few words, but it was enough to stop my heart. "Last night was incredible. Can't stop thinking about you." I just stood there, staring at the screen. The sound of the shower in the background faded into a dull roar in my ears. It didn't feel real. My first thought was that it had to be a misunderstanding, an inside joke from work. But I knew, in my gut, I knew exactly what it meant. A profound, chilling calm settled over me. I didn't touch the laptop. I didn't go into the bathroom and confront her. I just took a mental picture of the message, the name, and the words. I walked into our living room, sat down on the couch, and waited. The person who was about to walk out of that bathroom was not the person I thought I had spent the last 5 years of my life with. I needed to know who this stranger was. Update 1. I waited until the next evening. I needed a full day to process the information, to let the initial shock solidify into a cold, hard resolve. I made dinner, just like I always did. We sat at our small kitchen table, the silence between us heavier than I'd ever felt. She barely looked at me, her attention focused on her phone. After we finished eating, I didn't clear the plates. I just looked at her across the table. "We need to talk," I said. My voice was quiet, even. She looked up, a flicker of annoyance in her eyes. "I'm really busy, Ben. I have a lot of work to do. This can't wait," I said. "Who's Alex?" The color drained from her face. She put her phone down, screen down, on the table. "He's just a guy from work. A friend." "Is he the friend who sent you a message yesterday saying last night was incredible?" I asked. She just stared at me, her mouth slightly open. The lie died before it could even form. She broke eye contact, looking down at her hands. She was silent for a long time. Then, she took a deep breath and looked back at me, but her eyes were cold, devoid of remorse. "Yes," she said. "We slept together, after the work event on Thursday." The confession was so blunt, so emotionless, that it knocked the air out of my lungs. But what came next was what truly broke me. "Look, I was going to tell you," she said, her voice matter of fact. "I've been planning to end things with you when my internship is over in a few weeks anyway. I'm just not sure about our future anymore." She shrugged, a small, casual gesture that felt like a physical blow. "Honestly, you should be glad it only happened once." I never went back to him. I was speechless. I just stared at her. trying to comprehend the sheer audacity of her words. She hadn't just cheated. She was justifying it. She was telling me I should be grateful for the minimal nature of her betrayal. The 5 years we had spent together, the future I was planning, the love I thought was pure. It was all just an internship she was waiting to finish. In that moment, something inside me went numb. The pain was so immense, it was like my brain couldn't process it. All I felt was a vast, empty silence. "It's over, Maya," I said. The words came out as a whisper. As soon as the words left my mouth, her cold demeanor shattered. It was like a switch flipped. Her face crumpled, and she burst into tears. She rushed around the table, trying to grab me, to hold me. "No, please," she sobbed. "I didn't mean it like that. I was just scared. I made a mistake. Please, give me one more chance. I'll put all my effort into us. I promise." The sudden shift from cold justification to desperate pleading was jarring. It wasn't the sound of remorse. It was the sound of panic. The sound of a safety net being pulled away. I stood up and moved away from her touch. "No," I said. "Pack your things. I want you to leave." I walked into my bedroom and closed the door, leaving her alone with the consequences she had just told me I should be grateful for. Update 2. Maya left that night, still crying and pleading, to go stay with a friend. The silence she left behind in the apartment was a heavy, suffocating blanket. The days that followed were the worst of my life. My mental health completely deteriorated. I couldn't eat. I couldn't focus on my studies for my master's program. I felt a constant, grinding anxiety that made it hard to breathe. Sleep was my only escape. I would sleep for 12, sometimes 14 hours a day, just to avoid the pain of being awake. When I was awake, the numbness had faded, replaced by a deep, hollow ache. 5 years. I had poured 5 years of my life, my love, my effort into a relationship that she was already planning to discard like a summer job. Her texts and calls were relentless. They were a constant stream of apologies, declarations of love, and promises to change. I didn't respond to any of them, but they were a constant reminder of her betrayal. About a week after she left, a cold, clear thought cut through the fog of my depression. She had told me she was planning to leave me at the end of her internship. She saw our relationship as a temporary position, one she could walk away from when a better opportunity presented itself. Her words echoed in my head. "I was planning to end things with you when my internship is over." A slow, cold anger began to burn in my chest. She wanted to be free at the end of her internship. Fine. I decided I would help her get a head start. I spent an hour online. I found the main corporate number for the company, where she was an intern. I called and asked for the human resources department, saying I was a university career counselor looking to get some information for a student. The receptionist, without questioning it, gave me the name and direct email address of the company's internship program coordinator. I sat down and composed an email. I was careful, professional, and devastatingly precise. "Dear Ms. Thompson," I wrote, "I am writing to you today with a heavy heart and out of a sense of professional concern. My name is Ben Carter, and my now ex-girlfriend, Maya Williams, is currently an intern in your summer program. I was recently made aware that she has been engaged in an inappropriate relationship with a full-time colleague, Alex Chen. This has resulted in the end of our 5-year relationship." I continued, "I understand that personal matters are typically outside the purview of the workplace. However, Maya herself has admitted to me that this situation and the subsequent emotional turmoil have become significant distractions for her. I am deeply concerned that her personal issues and the unprofessional nature of her conduct at the office may be affecting her focus and the quality of her work for your company. I felt it was my ethical responsibility to make you aware of this potential conflict of interest and the unprofessional behavior occurring within your team. I would hate for her personal drama to negatively impact your company or the experience of other interns. I signed it, sincerely, a concerned party. I read it over 10 times. It was perfect. It wasn't an angry rant. It was the calm, measured concern of a third party. It raised flags of unprofessionalism, conflict of interest, and potential HR liabilities. I hit send. Then, I went through our apartment and packed every single thing she had left behind. I boxed it all up, taped the boxes shut, and stacked them by the door. I called a locksmith and had the locks changed. Finally, I went to my phone, blocked her number, and blocked her on every social media platform. I had severed all communication. Permanently. Update 3, a week passed in complete silence. The absence of her constant texts and calls was a relief. I started to feel a sliver of my old self returning. I was still in pain, but the anger had been channeled into action, and it had left me feeling a quiet sense of control. The news came from a mutual friend, Sarah. She called me, her voice hesitant. "Hey, have you talked to Maya? Something weird happened." I told her we weren't speaking. "She got fired," Sarah said. "Well, not fired. They let her go from the internship. They called her into a meeting with HR and the program coordinator on Monday, and just told her that due to a review of her professional conduct, it was no longer a good fit. They ended her internship a month early." I feigned surprise. "Wow, that's crazy. I wonder what happened." "She's a wreck," Sarah continued. "She's convinced you had something to do with it. She said the guy she was hooking up with, Alex, got called into HR too. He was given a formal warning and is being transferred to a different department." I just listened, a grim satisfaction settling over me. The company had acted exactly as I had predicted. Faced with a potential HR nightmare, they had cut the liability loose. The intern was expendable. A few days later, Maya showed up at the apartment. I saw her through the peephole, standing in the hallway, looking lost. She rang the doorbell, then started knocking. "Ben, I know you're in there. Please, we need to talk." I didn't answer. I just sat on my couch, listening to her knock until she finally gave up. A few hours later, I got an email from a new address she must have created. It was a furious, rambling tirade. She accused me of ruining her life, of destroying her career. She said she had nothing left. She begged me to meet her, to talk. She said I owed her an explanation. I knew I didn't owe her anything, but I agreed. I wanted to see her one last time. I wanted her to see me. We met at a coffee shop near campus. She looked terrible. Her eyes were red and puffy, and she had a frantic, desperate energy about her. "Did you do it?" she demanded as soon as I sat down. "Did you get me fired?" I just looked at her calmly. "You told me you were planning to leave me at the end of your internship," I said. "You said you were unsure about our future and wanted a new start. I just helped you accelerate your timeline. You're free now, Maya. You got exactly what you wanted, just a little earlier than planned." The look on her face was a mixture of rage and utter defeat. She finally understood. "You destroyed my career," she whispered. "No," I said, standing up. "You did. You made a choice to sleep with a colleague. You made a choice to tell me I should be grateful for it. Every action has a consequence. You just weren't prepared to face yours." I left her there, sitting in the coffee shop, a future she was unsure about, now a harsh and immediate reality. She had nothing. No boyfriend, no internship, no glowing recommendation for her resume. Just a story about how her personal distractions had cost her everything. Final update. It has been 8 months. The last year of my master's program was difficult, but I got through it. I graduated a few months ago and just started a new job in a new city. It's a complete and total fresh start. The anxiety is still there sometimes, a low hum in the background of my life. The betrayal left scars that I know will take a long time to fade. I am in therapy, learning to rebuild my trust, not in others, but in myself. I'm learning that I can survive a catastrophic loss. I heard through Sarah that Maya had to move back home with her parents. The early termination of her internship made it impossible to find a good job in her field after graduation. The unprofessional conduct footnote in her file followed her. Alex, the colleague, apparently wants nothing to do with her. He kept his job, and she became a cautionary tale in their office. I don't feel joy at her misfortune. I just feel a quiet, somber sense of justice. She treated our 5-year relationship, the life I was building for us, as a temporary position. So I gave her a taste of her own medicine. I helped her see what it feels like when a future you're counting on is terminated early due to your own poor choices. My revenge wasn't about destroying her. It was about holding up a mirror to her own actions. She thought our relationship was disposable. She learned, in the harshest way possible, that her career was too. I spent 5 years protecting what I thought was a pure and precious thing. The truth is, it had been tarnished long before I knew. My only mistake was not protecting myself. That's a mistake I will never make again. I am starting over, yes. But I'm not starting from nothing. I'm starting from experience.